Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and just doing a quick analysis video of some screenshots that surfaced on the official Final Fantasy XIV Facebook the other day. I was really interested in some of the things that we saw there, and I wanted to go over it with you guys and make you guys aware of these screenshots. For the original screenshots, like I said, head over to the official Final Fantasy XIV Facebook page, Realm Reborn, or you can head over to mine. I have them posted there as well. There'll be a link in the description. I'll make a brief mention of it at the end of this video as well. So the first screenshot, because I just want to jump right into it, the first screenshot takes place in a place called Emperador Keep. Currently on the previous map video that I did, it was called the Wanderer's Palace. However, Yoshi-P himself seems to have given it a more official name of Emperador Keep. It seems to be that the final boss is Demon Wall. Demon Wall being a classic Final Fantasy creature. Some of you who may be unfamiliar with the Final Fantasy series, he is essentially what his name calls a Demon Wall. This boss and dungeon seems to be a 4-man dungeon, and it also seems to be level 50, so this kind of shows us that there will be a variety of level 50 content that is between 4 to 8 man. We'll go over that again in a little bit more in some of the further screenshots, but there's really not much else we can take from this. All the jobs here we've previously seen. We can see how long the dungeon took, but that's not really important details. We can also see Yoshi-P likes using the cross hotbar, which is a little bit strange because he's most definitely playing on the PC version in most of these screenshots. The last thing we can notice is that Yoshi-P is extremely poor, and he probably has no gil because it's all the money that he spent trying to further Final Fantasy XIV. He's been probably paying the devs in gil a little bit, but you know, I'm sure he'll have some good money to give them in a little bit once the game releases and we see how it does. So that's all for that screenshot. Nothing too special, but the next one's a little bit interesting. This is a main story mission, a level 49 main story mission against a boss called Ritaten, I'm going to call him, because he is extremely awkward spelling. He is a Garlean that you're going to have to fight at some point in the main storyline. As you can see here, it is an 8-man, level 49 capped main story mission, so it's probably approaching towards the end of the main story. We know that level 50 is going to have its own plethora of main story missions, but this is much further into the main story, so expect to get to fight some of these, I'm going to call them judges, since that's what they look like from Final Fantasy XII. Now, there are some interesting things about this screenshot that weren't present in the old one, other than the fact that it's 8-man. Most importantly, and the screenshot itself points it out, is that there's a scholar and a summoner in this party. Now, we can notice a few things that this party seems about ready to go in, and the scholar is officially a healing job. Now, as you can see at the party menu, different colors designate different roles. I'm colorblind, so I can't tell you what those colors are, but I've been told blue is tank, red is DPS, and green is healer, and the scholar is most definitely green. So we can't really tell much because Yoshi-P decided not to play the scholar. He decided to play black mage in all of these, but we know for a fact that they are considered a main healing job. So a lot of people have been wondering if they were sort of a hybrid DPS healing. Now, not to say they couldn't also DPS, because, you know, we know Conjurer has stone and arrow and holy and things like that. We know that White Mage has some tools to do some damage, so it's safe to assume Scholar will have some tools as well, but they probably, like White Mage, will probably fall backside to their main role. Now, one interesting thing is that there seems to be a buff here that I don't recognize, and that is this green icon. It seems to be lasting about 19 more seconds, so it seems to be an AoE hot that the Scholar can place. Could be the Scholar or the Pixie, who knows? But it definitely seems to be something that's very, very much Scholar related. If not, we would have seen it in the previous screenshot with Demon Wall if it was something that widespread parties are supposed to have no matter what healer that you have. So that's very interesting. We also noticed that Summoner has some sort of 3-stacked buff on them. Now, I don't know what this buff is, but I have a theory about it based on the next screenshot we're going to go over. You also notice that, out of necessity, they took no duplicate jobs in this. You also notice that Dragoon is missing. I guess that because there's 9 jobs and they can only take 8 people, they needed to really show some of the other jobs in the screenshot. I kind of wish they'd released the videos that these screenshots came from, because obviously Yoshi-P has been taking some screenshots while he tests some things. And it's good to see that the producer and the director is actually testing himself, because that's not necessarily his quote-unquote job. His job is to ensure that there is a high quality of the game, but you would expect that this wouldn't come from the producer and the director. You would expect this to come from maybe the developer's blog or something. So it's very nice to see Yoshi-P getting involved, and you know, he did get involved during the beta test, so but let's move on from that. So other than the fact that Dragoon's not here, you'll notice that Yoshi-P is still extremely poor. That seems to be the most notable detail, and let's see if it carries on into the next screenshot. The next screenshot is actually from the new Garuda fight. This is, again, a level 50 version of the fight. I expect we'll see a lower level version of this fight at some point, very similar to the easy mode that we saw in 1.0. Probably be around level 30, 35, somewhere around there. And it'll be against normal Garuda. You'll have to fight that one first probably before you can get to this mission, but there are some things in this screenshot that are absolutely mind-blowing, and that is, in case you haven't already looked at it, in the chat box there seems to be some form of a DPS meter that's being highlighted there. Now we know that the add-on system won't be available at launch, but that they are preparing it for shortly after launch. So it's interesting to see that they would show us these DPS meters. Now it's a little bit hard to tell what these DPS meters are actually reading. As you can see, there's a lot of different numbers and times here, but it seems that they have a general function. If you would just give me a second to pull the screenshot up for myself. Now they seem to have a general function. They tell you how much damage your most recent spell did, something along those lines. It seems to tell you the total damage that spell did, how much DPS you had, and how much time. See, the time is the one thing I don't understand. This fight has been going on for 3 minutes and 38 seconds, and they're pretty far into the fight for 3 minutes and 38 seconds. However, it's interesting to note that the time says 3.44, so I'm not exactly sure what the time is indicating. I'm sure there's already been translations going around about this, but there's not really much to translate because all that is in English. However, the Japanese part that's highlighted above probably has seen some translations. That might be a Garuda mechanic, or it might be something to do with this. It's more likely that it has to do with the DPS meters. As you can see, damage 1086, 49.8%. I haven't actually added up all of these percentages, but based on the numbers, it doesn't look like they add up to 100%, not nearly. So I'm, again, having difficulty truly understanding what I'm reading here, but I'm sure that over time we'll see that at least they do have DPS meters planned in some sort of implementation, you know, even without having to wait for other people to make them. They are already planning for important add-ons for the game. Now, what else is interesting to note here? What's interesting to note is that a lot of people have been wondering if Paladins or Warriors will be, I kind of guess, your main tank. And I've been telling people both of them fill the tank role job. And while Warrior has some better mobbing tools and Paladin seems to have better single target tanking tools, that both of them can essentially do the job. And Yoshi-P has reassured us this himself. And as you can see right here, the Warrior is the main tank. In case you're wondering how I'm deriving this, you can see the threat bar under each of the individual players. In the party. It's a little, I guess, bluish white bar, I'm colorblind, so whatever color it is, under each of their icons. So the Warrior, being the one with the axe, is full, so he is the one tanking currently. And the Paladin is actually very close to the DPSs in terms of enmity. So it's very interesting to see how they're handling this, and I don't know why the Warrior's tanking at this moment. It could just be because of, it could be for any reason, really. We don't really know how the fight works in a 2.0, but we can assume it will work pretty similar to the fight did in 1.0. There's also a chance that the tanks are enmity swapping with provoke, so that's very possible as well, that there may be some mechanic that would require that. But until we get to see a more formal look at the fight, there's no way of knowing for sure. Now, some more interesting things are the way that Yoshi-P has his bar set up. This was actually the most interesting thing to me, because Yoshi-P seems to be tracking his abilities that have some sort of cooldown at the top of his screen. As you can see, I can see transpose, raise, I can see I can see that he's tracking his thundercloud procs up there as well. He seems to be tracking a lot of abilities up there, and it's pretty cool to see how he handles it. Some of them are on the global cooldown, as you can see, Scathe and Thunder. Those are all on the global cooldown, but he has them up there because they can proc some sort of additional effect, and he wants to be able to see them while he's looking right where the enemy is. So it's very conveniently placed for him. It's obvious that he spent a lot of time working on this. It seems a little bit cluttered, could be better done, but you know what? Yoshi-P plays how he wants to play. While we're looking up there, it's interesting to see that Garuda does in fact have 3 limit break bars. You know, I had spoken that limit breaks will be available at endgame bosses to go all the way up to 3 bars. However, it is interesting to note that only 1 bar is currently full, exactly when the screenshot was taken, that Garuda is already down about 40% of her health. So I know that the Garuda in 1.0, it's not as simple as this, because there are ads and there are certain mechanics you have to deal with. So even though you can do a lot of damage to her very quickly at the beginning, that damage sort of dies off midway into the fight when you have to focus your efforts onto other targets. So we can expect this fight will take a little bit longer than it looks like it's going to take. But hopefully you will be able to fill up a limit break bar to the 3rd point at some meaningful point in the fight. You know, I don't want it to feel like you can only fill up one, you can only get 1 limit break off a fight. And that might be the case. You might actually only be able to get 1 decent level 3 limit break off per fight. But you have to keep in mind that at least when we saw it at E3, when you leave a party, or not when you leave a party, but when you leave the instance, as long as you're still in the entire party, the limit break gauge will stay filled to a point. Obviously, it won't be filled all the way up to 3. It'll only be filled up to 1 from what I can understand. But some interesting things, again, he just seems to be using the cross hotbar, which is something interesting that Yoshi-P seems to like to do a lot. He also seems to be tracking some of his other spells on the right-hand side. I can see his limit break and his chocobo abilities on the right-hand side, as well as a few other abilities such as freeze. And it's very interesting to see how he thinks it's important to handle it. I don't know how I would handle it, but with the cross hotbar. But this is for anyone with a cross hotbar. It seems that this has to be the PC version, by the way. No doubt this is the PC version with all this customization. But it's interesting that he prefers to use the cross hotbar over everything else. And again, another thing that we can actually notice is that same 3-stacked buff that was on Summoner before appears to be on Scholar now. So this is leading me to believe that the Scholar actually has some sort of healing over time stacking ability, just because I don't know where that 3-stack is coming from, but because it's shown on both Scholar and Summoner, it could be something that's Arcanist related, or could be something that's Scholar related, but there's no real way of knowing until the game comes out. This is all speculation based on analysis of this picture at this point. And there's not really much else that we can notice about this, other than the fact that Yoshi-P is still extremely poor. It seems that he has even less money than in the first one. Then again, he did have less money in the last screenshot as well. Money's just not important to Yoshi-P. He just wants to have fun and make a great game, so can't really complain about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis, because I think that this screenshot has a lot to offer, and it goes to show just what this game is going to offer in terms of customization and in content a little bit. If you found this video useful or interesting, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share, especially if you have a friend who might not know about these screenshots, and definitely go check them out on the official Final Fantasy page or on my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/MrHappy1227. You can go there, pick my brain, ask me ideas about the game, theory craft with me a little bit. I just like interacting with my community, and my subscribers are awesome, so I definitely want to pay you guys back, at least in giving you guys the attention that you deserve when you ask me a question. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this analysis video. Until next time, take care.